Hi everyone, it's Laura. Welcome back. I am so glad you guys joined me today for this Christmas video. I'm super excited. It is November now. We can officially start celebrating Christmas. If you have been with me for a little while, you know I celebrate spooky year round. So once Halloween is over, November 1st, I switch to Christmas because really I only get those like 2 months of November and December to be like cheery and jolly and Christmassy. So anyway, we're going to do a ton of DIY projects for this. This is going to be a Christmas Carol themed DIY decor mantle situation. You guys saw my Sleepy Hollow one for Halloween. I mentioned that I was going to try to reuse some of those pieces for this setup, and I have been able to do that. So let's have a look. If you guys are new here, I would love if you would hit that subscribe or like button or both. We'd love to have you. So let's just jump into it. Let's go. So first things first, we need to take down the Sleepy Hollow stuff. So I'm going to be putting away my Headless Horseman, and these 2 black spooky trees are going to get put away. But I am going to reuse this white birch tree. I feel like it has a very, wintry quality about it. And I'm also going to reuse these gravestones. I have a small DIY project in mind for them a little bit later in the video, so you'll see that coming up. And then on the other side of the mantle, I have my Sleepy Hollow Village. I'm going to reuse a couple of these pieces as well, and they will be kind of my backdrop of the London Village. So here's sort of the blank slate space that we're working with. And then I do have a little bit of a bonus area that is quite small. It's just like one little project that I will show you guys a little bit later as well. But the first project I want to work on is just going to be a quick repaint project on this ghost. I picked this up at Cracker Barrel probably 3 or 4 years ago when they first put it out. I was lucky enough to snag one of these right away. But then the following year they came out with like a black version, and I was so jealous. And I've always wanted mine to be black. And I just think it suits the Christmas Carol Ghost of Christmas Future so much better for this piece to be black. So we're going to do a quick repaint on this. Now let's have a look at what I have in mind for the Ghost of Christmas Past. Basically, I want her to be like a beautiful fairy with like white curly hair. I very much have the Scrooged version in mind. Carol Kane in that movie. She's amazing. So when I was thinking about this project, I remembered that we have this doll that we have never completed. We got this little doll from, I think, Michael's probably like 5 years ago, and my daughter drew this little face on it, which I absolutely think is the most adorable. But then we never really, the project never went anywhere. You guys know how it is. But I always saved the doll with intentions of using it someday. Today is the day. So we're going to transform her into the Ghost of Christmas Past. So the first thing I want to do is make her hair. I want her to have curly white hair. Curling yarn is not that hard, you guys. It's actually a lot easier than you might think. What is hard is trying to film it. But basically you just take a dowel and you take several strands of yarn, long strands, long enough to completely wrap around a dowel. So I usually take about 5 or 6 at a time, and I just wrap the entire dowel. And then once you have as many as you might need for your project, in this case, I think I used about 15 dowels worth. I bake them in the oven at about 250 for about an hour. Then you wait for them to cool and you just slide them off the dowel, and now you have curly yarn. Super easy. And I'm just going to hot glue this hair to her head. I'm not going to bother with trying to sew it into place. I none of that sewing for me. Okay, most of these projects that I do are always going to be no sew because I just don't like sewing. I just don't like it. I did make her a little dress before this. It's just basically like a gauzy piece of extra fabric that we had lying around that I just pretty much wrapped around her and used some ribbon and some trim to kind of doll it up a little bit. I did not film that because it's kind of boring, you guys, and I didn't want to bore you with a million DIY projects. So I'll just quickly go through the other ones for her, which we made a pair of wings for her, just using a coat hanger, and then I kind of just like turned the straight part up to separate it into two pieces. I covered it with a piece of like pantyhose. It's kind of like a nude color, but I felt like once I add glitter to this, it's gonna come off more gold. And then I just covered them in glitter. And I did pretty much the same thing to make her wand. All I did for that was take a skewer, cover it in hot glue, and roll it in glitter. I think that one wins for the easiest DIY project of the whole bunch here. So I will be putting these all together for you guys to see at the end of the video. Right now, let's move on to my favorite project, I think, which is the Ghost of Christmas Present. Now for him, I had the Muppets version in mind. I mean, most of them are pretty similar looking. They all have like the red hair and like a green outfit. So my idea was just to pick up a Santa and just change him completely into the Ghost of Christmas Present, which is what we're gonna do here. So I got this guy on Amazon, actually. I think he was $15. I will link him in the description. He is very cute, but I am going to get rid of his outfit. I'm going to take off these little accessories. He's got a sack here and a bear. We're going to take all that stuff off and pretty much just start from scratch. And I am going to use yarn again to change his hair out. If you saw my Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark video, I talked a lot more in that video about how to do brushed yarn. So for this project, we're just going to go through it very quickly. All I'm doing here is trimming his beard so that there's hardly anything there. I'm attaching short pieces of yarn with hot glue. And then once that is nice and secure and cooled down, then I'm going to brush it with a slicker brush and it will turn into this fluffy mess. And once that's all done, I will trim it up into a proper beard. And actually, I did add more hair later on because I just didn't really like the way he looked with a hat. It was still looking too much like Santa for me, so I just pulled the hat off and added more hair. You will see that later on as well. He has a lot of hair now. And then as far as his outfit, all I did was pick up some green fleece fabric because that's a really good one to work with if you're doing no sew. And I kind of really just winged it. I put him down and I really just covered the existing fabric with the green fleece. And it just worked out, you guys. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just worked it out. It worked out. And then I wanted him to have like a little bit of a belt. So I tried to see how it would look with just a piece of yarn. That's way too thin. So I just braided some yarn together and made him like a little bit of a braided yarn belt thingy and poked that through. And then I added the accessories. So for the Ghost of Christmas Present, I feel like he's very much into like food and wine. So I'm going to give him a cornucopia to hold and a bottle of wine. And then I'm going to put some like presents and things around him. Now, once I sat him on the mantle, I didn't really like how he was looking. He was just kind of too small still compared to other things. So I really wanted him to have like a big chair or a throne to sit in. So I whipped one up with cardboard. All I did here was just make a couple of pieces that kind of look like a chair and then a couple of rectangular pieces, glued them all together, covered that all with batting, and then I covered it with black felt. I was trying at this point to kind of keep a little bit of a color scheme going. So I just noticed as I was going along that I had a lot of black and white. I had gold and I had green. I didn't really want to stray from that too much. So I just kept his chair black, and then I added some gold trim to it, and it turned out way better than I even thought. So that was an easy project. It took a little bit longer than I wanted, because at this point it was one of the last things I was doing and I was ready to be done. And we are almost done, but before we start to set everything up, I just want to show you the last few little projects that we had, a couple of quick ones. Now, I wanted a little bit of an extra spot where it kind of looks like Scrooge has just come home from work or whatever. So I wanted like a spot for his top hat, and then maybe whatever else he would carry. So like a ledger. So I found this little notebook, and I'm just going to print out a little thing that I designed using Canva, and I'm going to decoupage this on here so it kind of looks like a ledger. And to go with it, of course, I need to make his hat as well. So my daughter is working on this project for me. She was the Mad Hatter for Halloween, and she made the coolest hat out of cardboard. And I was like, oh, you got to make me a Scrooge hat for my project. So she made the cardboard base for this, and all I'm going to do here is just cover it with felt again, and I think I might add like a little bit of flair. So you'll see that in just a minute. And last but not least, my husband also helped with this project. He is really good at replicating design. He's an artist. He's really good at calligraphy. He can draw pretty much anything if you give him a reference photo. So I printed out how I wanted these three to look, and he just did them for me with no problem at all, obviously. So what I wanted was one for Scrooge, and then since I had three, I know that technically there is only Jacob Marley, and that the brothers are not really a thing. That's something that the Muppets came up with, so that they could use the two guys from the balcony. You know who I'm talking about. Those guys are the best. So, but I want to use them anyway. So in the Muppets movie, they are Robert and Jacob. So that's what we've got going on here. We got a Robert, Bob Marley. We have Jacob Marley, and then we have Scrooge. And that is the last DIY project for this. So let's get going on setting everything up. I can't wait to see how it all looks together. I'm super excited. On the side with the Ghost of Christmas Future, I'm going to add that white birch tree, and then I also have a couple of white dollar store trees. This was the first year that I saw white there. They usually have the green ones, but they had white this year. I was super happy about that. Now, I usually get two and kind of like mesh them together into one. It just makes it look better. They're very sparse, so I find that if you just put two together, it looks a little bit more full. And on the other side here in my little village area, I have a bunch of houses that I'm going to reuse from the Sleepy Hollow scene because they're not like super spooky or anything. One of them has bats on it, but I think that's fine. I think it's actually like a bonus because it brings a little bit of that spooky quality that we love so much. I also have this, it was a lamp that my husband found at the swap shed, of course. And I just took the wire out and I turned it into like a little bit of a street lamp. So this little lamp portion of it is just an ornament from Joann's that looks like a little lantern. And I'm just hanging that to look like a little street lamp. And a few more final touches and we are done. And here is how the final product turned out. So I am thrilled with it. I love it. I hope you guys like it too. Let's look at some of the details a little bit closer because I did add some finishing touches. Over here in my little village area, I did add this final piece, which I picked up at Savers thrift store a couple months ago. I've been holding on to this for a while. When I saw it, I had to have it. It was like $4, and I just thought this is perfect for my Christmas Carol project. So I've been holding on to that. Here is how our Ghost of Christmas Past turned out. I think she looks absolutely beautiful. I love her. I think the wand is amazing, and that was like the easiest project ever. And then I just threw a bunch of like bottle brush trees that I got from the Dollar Tree up here, and a couple of extra little things that I had lying around. And here is the Ghost of Christmas present. I know he looks a little bit out there, but I think that that is sort of kind of his whole vibe to begin with. So I love it. His hair is crazy. I do kind of wish that I had added a crown. I think I may do that still. But overall, I am very happy with him. I love him. And of course, the Ghost of Christmas Future, I think turned out really well. Also, I absolutely love how the gravestones look. They're perfect. My husband Drew did a great job. And then lastly, in this little extra area that I promised you that we would have, this is like a little bit of like an entryway for Scrooge. In this scenario, like I'm the Scrooge, right? So I've got my top hat here that I just set down and my little ledger. And I also picked up this awesome vintage iron candle holder from Savers as well. And that is pretty much everything. So we did put our Christmas tree up a couple days later, so it is even more Christmassy now. But have you guys put your Christmas tree up? When do you put it up? Let me know in the comments below. I thank you guys so much for joining me for this video. Oh, I also wanted to ask everyone, what is your favorite version of A Christmas Carol? Because personally, I love Scrooged, the Bill Murray version. That is my absolutely favorite version. I don't know what it is about it. There's just, I don't know if it's a nostalgia thing or what. I just love that version. And very close second would be the Muppets. Let me know in the comments what your guys' favorite one is. And thank you so much for joining me. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.